This is a pretty popular call, and I just want to go over a few things on how to use it, and if you're not real familiar with box calls, and then we'll get into some more of the details of how to make some more of the not so regular calls that work really well. So let's get into it. To make the Yelp's probably the most common call you're going to make, and to make the Yelp, you simply just grab the call. If you're right-handed, maybe you'll grab it in this hand. I'm right-handed, so I put the call in here in this hand, and then I grab the paddle with my right hand. Some people prefer to do it the other way. If you're left-handed, maybe you do it this way, and you just simply set the paddle on the soundboard of the call. This is the soundboard right here, and you just slide it across to make some strokes, and that's your Yelp. And then you just do it like this, and then you get your rhythm down. You just and it makes a nice high to low, sweet Yelp, a nice break, nice sounding call. You can do that. You can do the Yelp. You can do it real quiet, like that. You can do it real soft and quiet. If you got a gobbler close, you can do it loud. It all depends on the situation, and just practice with it. You know, you're gonna start out. You might start out really fast. You might start out slow, and eventually, that's what you're aiming for right there. Just bringing that paddle right on back, and don't worry about lifting it off the soundboard. You can slide that back on your backstroke. You can slide it right back. That gobbler's never going to hear that slide on the backstroke. Yelping. To make the cluck, simply just take the paddle of the call, bring it over onto the soundboard, and just set it on there, and just flick of the wrist, just a flick of the wrist, just pop it off the soundboard. Makes a nice cluck. Got another real common call that a lot of people use is cutting, and you know, that's when a hen gets aggressive, gets fired up, and that'll really make a gobbler gobble a lot of times. And that's just, I like to do it like this. You just hold the call like this, and then I'll take the paddle and I'll just go. Just taking it and striking it against the soundboard. That's a good call that works pretty well. Okay, a cackle is just like cutting. We're just taking the paddle and slamming it against the soundboard, but only we're going to do it with a different rhythm. A cackle sounds something like this. That's when a hen's flying down or up from the tree. Now what I like to do is I'll actually take my elbow and pin it in against the side of my body, and then so it's only my forearm and my wrist working, and that stabilizes my elbow, and and that wrist action and that's what a cackle takes. A little more practice, but eventually you can get it and make it sound pretty nice. Alright, purring. Purring is a nice call to use when you got a gobbler fairly close and he hasn't quite come into distance yet, come into range. And what that is, you just take the paddle right here and you bring it over. Now you're gonna find on the call, you'll find where your first where you get your first sound. It's right about there. So wherever you get that, and just bring it a little bit beyond that, and you're gonna just take the call, and you don't want to apply very much pressure on it. You just grasp it just enough so you have enough of a grip on it, and you just drag it across. Just drag it across the soundboard. It makes a nice purr. And a lot of hens, you'll hear them when they're purring. They'll do a purr and a cluck right after it. So it's like this. Remember, I showed you the cluck is just set it on there and flick of the wrist. So with really a little bit of practice, you can get good on a box call, and they're probably one of the best calls there is.